Welcome back to a Fresh Perspective on Business podcast. I'm Laura Leyland, Managing Director and co-founder of Fresh Perspective Resourcing. We are a recruitment business with a twist. And here today, my lovely co-host is the one, the only, Vicky Taylor.
Hello! Hi, I'm Vicky Taylor,
Here
manager of Fresh Perspective Resourcing.
How are you today, Vic?
Very hot.
I'm really hot. I'm going to have to take my jumper off.
Really warm, considering it's like minus degrees outside.
Yeah, when Gemma, my PA, she sent me a screenshot today, well, a photograph of her car, and it said it was -5.
Wow, she lives in Blackburn,
Yeah.
yes, which I thought was on a hill, but she tells me it's in a valley.
Then why is it so cold?
Don't know. That's why I thought it always snowed there, because it was on a hill. But she says she's in a valley, so I'm really confused now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, it's very cold in Blackburn.
Yeah.
Not quite as cold in Chorley, but still -2.
Yes, my car was -2 as well, so I'm actually really shocked how warm it is in here because it's been freezing for the last few days.
So I have a lockbox, like a key lockbox on the outside of my house, which it comes in useful actually. It was there when we bought the house. But I don't trust it because sometimes the keys stick, the number things stick when I come to use it. So if I'm going for a run and there's no one in the house, I'll take the key out of the lockbox, lock the door, and then I just put it in my pocket because it's smaller than like my car keys and all that jazz. But today, so I did that, and then when I got back, the inside of the lockbox had frozen, so I can't lock it.
Oh, no.
So I've had to just put the key inside and hope that no one needs the key.
Oh, that could be a disaster. Of all the days, Pete will probably come back later and be like, where's the key?
Can't get in.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I'm going to have to I didn't have time to try and defrost it with some water because as usual I was in a rush. But yes. But yeah, it's hot in here.
Yeah, a bit too hot, but we can't complain, can we?
No, definitely not. Right, okay. What are we talking about today, Vicky?
We're talking about leadership versus management.
So are they not the same thing?
They're not.
Right, okay.
They're definitely not the same thing. We're going to explain what they are, what the benefits are within your business, why you probably need both in your business as well.
Okay, wonderful. Wow, and this is episode, what number is it? 222?
Yeah, 222. That must,
222.
does 222 mean anything in like, do you know, like 1111 and
666.
yeah, I wasn't going to say that then, but yeah, looks good. And, oh my days, it's airing on the 22nd of November. 222.
What the hell? What does that mean?
It must mean something. Someone out there must know what it means. That's a bit scary, that.
That is weird.
Yeah.
But in bingo, 22 is 2 little ducks. So
we've got 6 little ducks here.
maybe you're just going to see a lot of ducks and maybe that's lucky.
Maybe. Do you know, like magpies?
Like magpies, but duck version.
Duck form, yeah.
Right.
So,
So who knows what could happen today? All the amazing, most positive things could happen.
absolutely. But before we get into everything, it is episode number 222. But Laura, will you please tell us what that is in Spanish, please?
I most certainly will. Episodio número 222.
Oh, lovely.
Thanks.
Very nice.
And for those that don't know why we do it in Spanish, me and my sister and business partner, Emily Leyland, have Spanish alter egos. There's a story behind it. Listen back to a previous podcast to find out. But that's why we speak a little bit of Spanish.
Maybe I need a Spanish alter ego now because I do speak a bit on the podcast with the...
Right, okay, I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Spanish alter ego.
What's yours called?
Marisol.
Marisol, right. We need
And
to
Emily's is Carmen.
Right, okay. So I feel like I'm eligible for one now.
Oh my goodness, I agree. Right, let's get that done and then we can introduce it on the next podcast. How exciting.
Yes, right. Let me write that down. We need to remember to do that.
If anyone is listening has got some Spanish name suggestions for Vicky, please message her on LinkedIn. Vicky Taylor.
Yes, please.
So like Vicky said, today's episode is about leadership versus management. And they are not the same things, but both are key to when it comes to growing your business.
Absolutely. Yes, because I think we had a discussion between like me and you. Your leadership, I'm management.
But I also think that you've grown into a leader as well.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think you can be one or the other, like people, not you, Vicky.
Yeah.
You can be one or the other, and you can be both.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think people can be both?
I think I think, just speaking from my personal experience with me, I don't think I can be both.
No.
How rude!
But you're a great leader.
Thank you
great
so
leader.
much. I think I am a good leader. I am a rubbish manager. And I would say the same for Emily Leyland, who would also agree with me, which is why we have you.
Yes, exactly. I am the manager for those reasons.
But I think, well, you joined us. You didn't join us as the manager, did you?
Nope.
Vicky joined us as a talent seeker and learned the ropes, and we just spotted a natural ability in her to nurture, guide, coach, train, and progress and develop other people around her. So we asked her if she wanted to look into that more and to progress the team lead, and now she's the manager and basically just runs the office and the team for me and Emily. So you've moved into a manager and you already had the traits and the qualities, the attributes. It just needed harnessing and nurturing. So we did that, and now you're an amazing manager.
Thank you.
Marvellous manager. Mm-hmm. And I think through that journey, you've become a really good leader as well. But you weren't either at the beginning, but you had it in you. And I think the key is that not everybody does.
No, and I think, especially with the leadership part, I don't feel like that's something you can train someone to be. I feel like you either got it or you don't.
But I think that's the same with the manager. I mean, you probably can train manager skills. But I just don't think I could probably learn to be a manager, but because I don't want to be one, I probably wouldn't be the best manager I could be.
Yeah, and that's the same with Emily, isn't it? She doesn't want to do that, does she?
Like if you decided to go travelling for 6 months, I'd be like, oh my God, please don't do that, by the way.
Idea in the head now.
And we'd have to get an interim manager in, but then that would be weird because they wouldn't know the team, they wouldn't know fresh, but I wouldn't want to do it, and neither would Emily, so God knows what would happen.
Oh dear, I'd come back and who knows what had happened in those 6 months.
Just be me and Emily left. Yeah. I'm like, we don't know what happened.
And you can't really be a leader if you've got no one to lead.
No. That would be sad.
That would be really sad.
So
but it's not happening, so it's all good. It's all good.
All just theoretical. Just, give our examples. So what's your take on that? Do you think that anybody could be a manager? And anybody could, I know you've said you don't think anyone could be a leader. You kind of have that in you or not.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think anyone could be a manager?
No, but I think it is something you can train. I think you have to have certain qualities. You have to have a certain personality to be a manager, but I do think it is trainable, whereas with a leader, I think you've either got that or you've not. Like, so when we were saying before about you being a leader, you have this, like, what would you say, like, this thing about you. Aww. Just like your presence, it's like leader vibes. It's just something that, like, I think just has to naturally come to you. So, like, we've got here about what a leader is. It's like you're inspiring and you're innovative and the team look up to you and you inspire them to do things. And I don't think you can teach someone to have those qualities. It's just something that comes naturally. Whereas with a manager, you do have to have certain qualities. You need to be patient, be able to guide people, mentor them. But I think you can train people, like you've kind of trained me how to do it. I just had those initial qualities and stepped up into that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. I think you're not necessarily kind of born with leadership. I mean, you might be to a degree because Emily's got 2 young children, and it was her son's first birthday a few weeks ago, and there were other children around at Emily's house that they know, like her cousins, and they were all doing something. And Billy's very outspoken, and she was probably the most dominant out of the group. And someone said, oh, isn't she bossy? And I'm like, no, she's a leader.
I can see that, yeah.
And I'm like, that is it. Like, you wouldn't, but also, I don't think you would ever call a male, a boy, a man, bossy.
No, I think that's
assertive.
Yeah, it's very much like a connotation with girls, isn't it? Like bossy.
Which is literally just a thought that only just come into my head. Yeah. You never really use the word bossy. I mean, going off on a tangent now. Bossy with boys or men. It's usually girls or women. Which is quite interesting. Yeah. So I do think there are qualities that you're probably born with or nurtured young. But I think leadership can come through experience.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on the manager side. So what do you think are the best qualities that you need to have to be a good manager? Because anybody can be a manager, I think, actually, to backtrack on what I said, but not everybody could be a good manager.
No, I think you need to have a lot of patience.
Which I don't have at all.
Well, outside of work, I don't have patience with anything. I really don't. Like,
I use it up in work.
Yeah, I must do. I wouldn't say I'm a patient person outside of work, but you do need to be patient because obviously you might be dealing with people who aren't performing. Because I feel like a manager, probably you use most of your skills when things are going wrong, not going well, team aren't performing, there's issues going on, whether that's at home or in the office. And I think that's when you kind of can see the good from the bad in a manager, which are who's going to perform well.
You're tested when you're under pressure. Yeah. And that's when things are busy or not going your way or you're dealing with challenges. That is when, I mean, you can be under pressure positively when things are just like we are at the moment. Like November is bonkers, like, but in the most amazing way. But that's still pressure. But obviously negative pressure has a different outcome because it's more stressful. But then that's when you really see, I think, people's true colours when they're tested.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've said this to you before. I think that I do my best when I'm put under pressure.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and I would say that about myself as well.
Yeah, whether that is positive or negative pressure, I feel like that is when you kind of when I feel like I come into my own and I know what I need to do and just get on with stuff.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
It's that flight or flight in a way. Like, what in this situation you have a choice. You either get stuck in and you sort it out and you deal with it head on, or you avoid it and you fly away. You run away, you do something else. And that's a lot of managers in my experience. Which is why I realised quite early on that I don't think I've got it in me to be a good one. I can do it, and I could probably be a good manager for a short period of time, but not over the long term. Because I've worked for people who just ended up in managerial jobs because that was just a natural progression. I didn't necessarily have a burning need or desire to be a manager, but that they were good at what they did, so got promoted into being a manager. And because they didn't want to be one as much, and they weren't naturally gifted in being one, they weren't that bothered. So they weren't necessarily bad people, but they just weren't good managers. So when the proverbial hits the fan, they're like, I don't really want to deal with that, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And then you leave your team exposed, but then really ultimately it's your responsibility. But then they don't take that responsibility, and then the team start. That's probably one of the biggest issues that we've maybe got onto earlier than expected. Is that if that happened, that was the situation with the manager. Something happened, didn't take it on, avoided it, left the team exposed. Then that team will then start to feel a lack of respect, a lack of trust. That manager doesn't have their back. There's no unity. And then what does that mean for that team? They probably underperform. They might leave. There's no loyalty or commitment. And then what does it mean in the wider sense for the business and its reputation?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that all stems from giving the wrong person the job of manager.
Yeah, because how many people have you heard that have left jobs because they don't like the manager? Because,
so many.
Yeah, that's like the most common theme that you hear. Like, they didn't get on with the manager. They wouldn't say this, but they just didn't have any respect for the manager. They didn't like how they were treated. Because I've been in a situation like that where someone was amazing at the job they did. So, like, on the floor, like, doing the job that whatever the company does. She was amazing at that. And then she got promoted to a team leader, and she was awful at it. She was just not great at it at all, and she was my team leader, and I didn't like her. I didn't like it, but she only got promoted because she was amazing at what she did. But that doesn't make you a good manager.
No, absolutely not. And that's what happens a lot.
Yeah.
unfortunately. And then people because they're good at what they do, they get promoted into manager of other people. But then it doesn't mean they're just better at it than the other people. So the people in their team almost could do the job better. I can do their current job better, not just the job of manager. And so there's a lack of respect. And then the lack of respect and this not feeling like that person is able to do the job well and you can't rely on them, then breeds resentment.
Yeah.
And that's why people leave.
Yeah, because it all just filters down. Like your managers or your team leaders or whatever they are, they like sit at the top. They should be seen as role models, and the team should be able to look up to these people. And if they don't, that is going to filter down into, well, throughout your company and can cause like massive effects, especially if you're only a small company like we are. Like, imagine if nobody liked me and they didn't like the way that I treated them or the way that I managed. Like, it wouldn't be a happy team. It would be like ripple effects throughout, and then your team don't perform, and it's just a massive ripple effect.
They leave. Or if someone actually had the courage to come and tell me or Emily, then that again, it would be awful. Having to deal with that, and maybe I don't even want to say what the words are. Would be that we would do. The progression would be with you in that situation, and then having to find someone. Honestly, the like you said, the ripple effect and the implications of having the wrong person in that job is massive. And you say that, but in a small company, like, I would probably notice if you were a bad manager.
Yeah, you can't hide. Small. Yeah.
But if you were a bigger company and you had a whole team of managers, they would just fly under the radar.
Absolutely.
And if nobody told HR, no one would know. If they weren't honest in their exit interviews when they were leaving because they just couldn't handle it anymore. What a sad state of affairs for these businesses. And it's all because they aren't taking the care and attention needed to put the right people into the manager jobs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because in businesses I've worked in, most of them were recruitment agencies, but the last one was a technical consultancy, and people are techies. Like, they don't always have the right people skills to be managers, more so than other. I'm not stereotyping, but that is just a fact. So they'd be amazing at what they did, and they get put in charge of a team, and then put in charge of becoming a manager. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not a good decision. Yeah. And it's and I don't think people realise the impact of it and how serious it is.
No, I don't think they do. And yeah, I don't think they pinpoint it to that, do they? So like, if they see, they see a lot of people leaving, I don't think people's first thought is, oh, well, we need to see what the manager's doing or the team leader and like address those issues. They'll probably like, oh, maybe we need to put the salary up, or something like that. Yeah. It's like, I don't think people look to it, and it can have a massive effect if you have the wrong person in those types of positions.
But by listening to this podcast, you will start to realise, I think something will click, a penny will drop somewhere along this podcast with me and Vic, where you're like, do you know what, actually, you'll identify someone who should be in a management position, or identify someone who possibly shouldn't be, but is an amazing leader, so just change their job. Or someone that just needs a bit of coaching and guidance, maybe some training and development, who are already in management positions, have the qualities, but lack the skill. If they've got the qualities, you can build the skill. You just can't build the qualities.
Yes.
Because I can't magic up patience in me.
No, I think that's either I say it's either something you've got or you're not, but you
have
both.
You have it, but you can probably switch it on and off.
Yeah.
I can switch it on, but for a very short space of time.
Yeah. Sometimes I do lose my patience a little bit, but only very odd occasion.
So what do you think of them? What are the qualities then for managers? And so you've mentioned patience. What are the qualities for managers, and what are the qualities for leaders, do you think?
What other qualities for managers? I think it's probably, you've got to be confident in your decisions that you're making, and there would be no point, say if I had to have a conversation with the team and I go in and I'm not confident in what I'm saying to them, they're not going to listen to me, are they, or take on board what I'm saying?
Or if you're asking them like, oh, shall we do this, what do you think? Which is, you should collaborate and include them, but not on every decision, or else they just lack any kind of trust and dependency in you to make the right call.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you need to make sure that you're confident in your decision making, what you're saying to your team, Yeah.
And then, so like I was probably adding like nurturing,
Yes.
observant,
approachable.
caring, approachable. And then what about a leader?
A leader. These people, what qualities do you have? You're inspiring, motivational.
Oh, this is nice.
I know, it is nice.
Passionate.
Yeah. And you do you know what I do think makes a good leader? Like, you can be all of them things, but if you don't communicate it well, you're really good at communicating it and like conveying that to people. So like, people could like have within them like the inspiringness and the passion, but they don't know how to like convey that to people. So when you do your talks with the team, this is what I always think of. So Laura does talks with the team, they're normally once a year, but if we ever need like a little bit of motivation, if maybe we're feeling a bit down or we haven't had such a good month, you'll come in and give like these motivational speeches, and the team are just like, it's like a switch around once they've heard you speak. It's so good. And I'm like, how do you do this? But it's just because you're great at conveying to the team. You know how to talk to them, what to say to them, how to communicate to them.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
But those two lists are so different, aren't they?
Yeah. Really different.
Yeah, and then, so what would you say the job of a manager is versus a leader?
Managers are the more like day-to-day running of the team, aren't they? Making sure that things are being done, processes are in place and they're being followed. If Tom's listening to this, follow the processes, please. Tom. He's a nightmare.
He's amazing at the job, but he's so rubbish at following processes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh.
He will admit this as well. So we're not talking shit behind his back.
No, yeah. We tell it to him every day. But it's making sure that like your team are hitting the targets, hitting KPIs, that type of thing. Yeah. It's just day-to-day running, isn't it, to make sure your business is running smoothly.
Yeah. And then in comparison, what would you say the role of leader is?
The role of leader is more like, it's like the growth of the business, isn't it? And
like the vision, the direction, the strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with that as well, it's like inspiring people within the company to want to grow. So like, I look up to you and I'm like, I want to be like Laura. But then that helps with the growth of the business though, because if you had everyone sat there and they're like, well, we just want to plod along doing our job, but everyone in there, they want to grow and progress and have these opportunities. So like Rach, for example, with her marketing, and I think that is because they look up to you and they want to be like, oh, I want to grow with the business, because they see the growth plans that you're putting forward and like the vision that you have for Fresh.
And I suppose what apart from all these lovely things that you're saying, one thing that kind of stood out for me when you were talking then is that leaders need to be followed. If no one follows you, are you really a leader?
Absolutely not. No, you can't just be a one-man band stood on your own, can you? I don't think you can call yourself a leader then, can you?
No, and I don't mean like a shepherd with sheep, because sheep will just follow anybody. Because obviously you don't want a company full of sheep. No, you want people with their own ideas, diverse thought, etc., things like that. But I think that's the mark of a good leader. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the inspiration is the key point, because if you don't inspire people to follow you, then are you actually a leader?
No, I wouldn't say you are.
So it's that, like you say, that communication piece, the passion, the finding your calling, being in the right leadership position, so that you can inspire the people that you are leading to follow you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. And honestly, do you know what? I knew they were different, but I've never really sat down and hashed out with someone the key differences between leadership and management. And I do think managers can be leaders. I don't think leaders naturally become managers.
No.
And I also think that you don't need to be the top of the head of the company to be a leader.
No.
I do think people within the team are not just necessarily in I'm putting air quotes around this. You can't see it. Vicky can. Leadership positions can still be leaders.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've never thought of it like that before, but I think you are right. It doesn't have to be people at the top of like the chain, like that hierarchy, does it?
Like you're a leader. I would say Andrea Nelson. She is Vicky's right hand.
Yes.
She's the team lead, and she has developed. She had the qualities to be in management. She's team lead. She's Vicky's vice president. And she is, I would say, a leader, but in a different way. But then also circumstantial leaders, I think, are there in any setting or any business. So if something were to happen here, Cheryl would step into a leadership position.
Yeah.
If there was a crisis.
Absolutely, yeah.
She would feel confident and comfortable, and people would follow her lead.
Yeah, true.
Probably why she's the fire marshal.
Yes, because we would follow her in crisis.
People who aren't natural leaders wouldn't put themselves up to be a fire marshal or something like that. So it's like if something were to happen, if there's a technical fault, Cheryl will step into it.
Yeah.
If it's something else, like I imagine Rachel would step into a leadership position given the right circumstances.
Yeah,
and so would Tom.
Yeah, I think Tom does have leadership qualities in him. Do you know when he does his little speeches to us at the end of the day, and like his motivational speeches to the team, and he kind of like brings the morale up sometimes when it's a bit low. I think they just need harnessing with Tom.
Yeah, and it's situational.
Yeah,
it depends on what the situation, what's the topic, and what skills are needed. And I don't think everybody would take the lead, which is great, because you cannot have everybody take the lead. It would be chaos. So I do think Lindsay and Danielle, Tyler, amazing people to follow the leaders. They would be respectful. If they're inspired, they would follow, they would implement. And you need people like that. You have to have both. And I think talking about this from a recruitment perspective, of course, because that's what we do, it's really, really important to identify in all the different vacancies what situations might they find themselves in given that job. Will you ever need any leadership qualities?
Yeah.
Will you ever need any management qualities now or in the future, given what the job is? Obviously, if you're hiring for a manager, absolutely need manager and potential leadership qualities. But then you might not all managers would be leaders. It is confusing sometimes when you're talking about it out loud like this. That's why it's really key to be proactive when you're recruiting. Figure out your role profiles and think about worst case scenarios that they might find themselves in. It could be random ones, like one random one that springs to mind, because I would say I'm good in a crisis.
You're very good in a crisis, yeah. I feel confident with you in a crisis. I would run towards you.
I'm not like blowing my own trumpet, but I am like, that is a positive strength of mine. And one thing comes to mind, years ago we did the National Three Peaks, and we borrowed a minibus off someone. We'd done what had we done? Ben Nevis.
Yeah.
Ran our way to Scarfell, and the minibus broke down in the middle of nowhere. Everyone just sat around and like, right, and someone has to take control and take action. So I'm like, right, and you're like, we'll do this and we'll do that, and it's those situations. Like, is there ever going to be a National Three Peaks kind of situation in your business, either in or out of work, if you're going on team trips and stuff like that? And you will need someone, if you're not there, that can and will take the lead.
Yeah, because I think it is important to have both, isn't it? Not just a manager in a business and not just someone who's going to be a leader. You need both the qualities running throughout the business and for them to blend well together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Tom he's quite young to his career. He's a young man. He maybe in the future could be a manager because he has the good qualities.
Yeah.
But he would be a leader first. So in this situation, if we weren't there and something happened, I would feel confident that Tom would take the lead and he would guide the team to safety or whatever the situation is.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like if you were at the Crystal Maze, for example, or when we go and do the Cube, if Tom is in a situation with people who aren't natural leaders, Tom will lead. If he's in a situation with me or you, he won't lead because we will.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Yeah, depending on who you're around and
what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. You are right. But if he was with Lindsay, for example.
Lindsay, Danielle and Tyler.
Yeah.
He would absolutely take that role.
Yeah.
And it's so important when you're looking at hiring that you look at these possible qualities and using things like the DISC profile for personality testing.
Yeah.
I've done a post on LinkedIn this week about just a random thought came into my mind after someone asked a question at an event, what's your favourite colour? And I'm like, why would he ask that? Like, what? Everyone's got a favourite colour, what does it say? And then by me looking at the red, yellow, blue and green, and what people's natural or, you know, the most kind of common traits that go with those colours, those are the colours of the disc. So D is red, I is yellow, I can't remember which way around, but C or S is green and blue.
Right.
And when you look at the qualities that follow the colours, they're the same qualities as on the disc profile.
Oh, wow. That is
my favourite colour is yellow, and I'm high I on the disc profile.
Yes, you are. Are you an ID or DI?
Yeah, ID. Yeah. And I'm sure Andrew's favourite colour's green.
She's on that end, isn't she?
Yeah, and she has C and S in her profile.
Oh, okay.
What's your favourite colour?
I wrote this on your post. It's orange and pink. So, but that, I suppose, orange is like yellow. So
yeah,
say
similar.
Because I think mine's, what's my disc profile?
So
mine's actually changed my disc profile since I started. So when I started, I was on, I think I was like I, S something.
Yeah.
But now I've got some D in my profile.
So your pink and orange on my post is empathetic, kind, energetic, social and fun-loving, which are all things I would associate with you and all key things I would say a good manager needs.
I would agree with that. Isn't it strange, that? Oh,
You've just answered my question with your favourite colours.
That is interesting. And yeah, I would say I am all them things.
Yeah. It's mad. And I've not even linked the two topics with the podcast and my post earlier this week together, but it's all coming round.
Wow.
Have we covered everything we want to cover?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think we've identified the differences, the key qualities, why it's important to figure out both, especially when you're recruiting.
Yes.
Why businesses need both good managers to run the operations and strong leadership to guide and take care of everybody.
Yeah.
We've established that not all leaders grow into managers.
No.
And not all managers grow into leaders.
Yes.
You can be one or the other or both. But
Absolutely.
it's really, really key when you're recruiting managers and cultivating leaders, because you wouldn't necessarily hire a leader.
No, and you might not know if someone's a leader until they start with you. You probably wouldn't know. You might be able to get some little gist in an interview, but I think that's something that will probably come in time, whereas a manager, you would obviously hire for that and you can ask questions based on that in interviews.
Absolutely. And I think that's almost the most important one to recruit well for, because if you hire bad managers, your people will leave, productivity will plummet, retention will decline, absences will increase, customer service levels will decrease, your business is not going to go as well. You hire a good manager, it's the opposite of all those things. And then if a good manager then becomes a good leader, then the world is your oyster.
Absolutely. Like, hiring a manager can have a massive effect, whether that is a massive negative effect or a massive positive effect. So it's so important to get it right.
So tread carefully, guys.
Yes.
And if you want to call in the experts to make sure you get it right, then who are you going to call?
Fresh Perspective!
Yes. So me and Vicky both on LinkedIn, Laura Leyland, Vicky Taylor. Connect with us, drop us a message if you want to chat. Website is www.f-perspective-resourcing.co.uk. If you want to look for us on YouTube or TikTok for our inspirational and information-packed videos about recruitment and business, you can find us there. And if you want to get in touch just to chew the fat about recruitment or leadership and management, even if it's a quick 5-minute call just to give you some tips, or if you actually need our help and support, whether it's doing the recruitment yourself, for you rather, or helping you with some tips, some training, some advice on how you can hire the best managers for your business, we would be delighted to support you.
We absolutely would. We love talking to people about how we can help them.
We do. If you like this podcast, give us a follow, drop us a review, no matter what podcast platform you are listening from. And we are currently still live with Freshies nominations.
We are indeed. There is 1 week left to go.
1 week. So they're our non-profit business awards. We raised £20,000 this year for charity, and we are live with nominations for next year, which is on the 20th of June 2025. All information is on the website if you want to get involved, nominate your favourite people and spread some joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some well good categories as well.
Yes,
so
we do.
Go and look at them. Positivity Pioneer, Captain Kindness, Best Business. There's loads. So yeah, go and take a look and you can nominate on the website as well.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys, and peace out.
Bye.